I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different, and every breakup is different. Work with me, and you'll get professional help on your situation. Just click on the link in the description below, or go to my website, askcraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And we are going to do a really good video today. I really like the topic. It's on standing up for yourself. And this is so incredibly important that you always stand up for yourself in a relationship. You have to respect yourself enough to not allow your partner to mistreat you.
Ever.
And if you allow them to do it, they're going to lose respect for you.
Yes.
And then they won't love you, because love and respect go hand in hand.
Yes, they do.
Now, the trouble is, if you grew up in a home where you were bullied, like I was.
Yes, you were.
It can be very difficult to stand up for yourself.
And that's the quick instructions on how to become a doormat.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And, even with my mom, you know how my relationship was with
Yes.
her. She was a great person, and she was very good to me, but, she had tremendous amounts of anxiety. Now, both my stepdads had major issues. My first stepdad was an alcoholic and probably doing other drugs that we didn't know about and had no idea.
Right.
And then my second stepdad was bipolar.
Right.
Now, the problem with growing up in that environment is my mom wouldn't let me stand up for myself. From a very, very early age, if, they were acting out, screaming, yelling, bullying, whatever, she would just say, well, just go to your room and play. Just go to your room. She didn't really want me to deal with it.
No.
But what happened is she got me to a place where I tolerated it, and didn't understand. You have to stand up for yourself. And then when you do that in your childhood, you have a really hard time doing it in your adult romantic relationships.
Yes, and as an adult, it's very difficult for you to stand up for yourself also, because sometimes when things have been difficult, it's very difficult to recover from them. And if you grew up thinking that any time you said the wrong thing, did the wrong thing, raised your eyebrow wrong, you were going to cause all kinds of chaos and yelling and screaming, then you're never going to be real comfortable with doing that.
That's right.
And it can get in your way.
And it triggers that feeling of abandonment and death.
Yes.
But it's very important that you do stand up for yourself in a relationship, because if you don't, your partner isn't going to love you, and they'll be willing to walk away because they're like looking at you like you don't even stand up for yourself.
Right.
You're like a doormat to me.
Right. And people don't want doormats, they want partners.
No, they really don't.
People want a partner, they want an equal. If you ask people if they want a democracy or a partnership or an oligarchy or whatever, everybody says partnership.
Mm-hmm. At least somebody that's healthy.
Yeah, and if they don't say partnership, run in the other direction.
You got that right.
I think that's what most human beings want.
So tell us what you got for us today.
One of the things that has struck me recently is that I see adults with a huge range of difficulties. But one of the phrases I hear from almost everybody is walking on eggshells. Mm-hmm. And I would love a sign, if anybody out there has ever seen one, of one of those pictures of some eggshells with something drawn through it, the red line drawn through it.
Like the Ghostbuster symbol?
Yes, like no
eggshells.
Yeah. And what do they mean by that? By walking on eggshells, they mean exactly what Craig just described. If things are problematic and chaotic and people are out of control and yelling or punching walls or acting like they're going to hurt somebody, then it's very easy to reply by walking on eggshells. You don't want to do anything to rock the boat. You don't want to do anything to upset this person, because nobody wants to deal with the aftermath.
Yeah.
And I've never known what that feels like for the person who's being the eggshells. It probably makes them feel powerful. Mm-hmm. But if you grow up like that, it can be very difficult to stand up to anybody in adult life. And I meet very well-functioning people who still find it terribly difficult to say no to anybody.
Yeah.
And yesterday I was reminded again that people don't all see the world the same way we do, or you do, or anyone does. But I was talking with someone who thought that there were only two options in this world. You either walk on eggshells with someone who's difficult, or you confront them and have a big fight. Well, there are many other things you can do in between. You could talk about it with them and say, you know, I'm really uncomfortable when you behave like this, and if you do, I'm not coming here, I'm not talking to you, I'm not working with you, whatever the state may be. And it doesn't have to be said in anger. It can be said with a perfectly even, low tone, in which case you're much more likely to be heard.
Now, you know, the thing is that you have to remind yourself, if that did happen in your childhood, maybe you couldn't leave in that situation.
Oh, exactly. And in your childhood, if these things happen to you, you have no choice.
But now you are an adult,
Right.
and you have a lot more ability to stand up for yourself or leave.
Absolutely. You don't have to stay in any situation where you're walking on eggshells. If you were abused, or if you lived in a chaotic household when you were a kid, and if people saying no to other people then resulted in people yelling and then people hitting each other, then somewhere in your unconscious you think that's going to happen if you stand up to somebody. And you can remind people, you can say no to your landlord. Lots of people fight with the landlord. You can be clear with your landlord what he's not doing and what needs to be done, but you don't have to be mean, rude, or disrespectful. But he'll yell and scream, let him. You're not going to do that. And then at least you've begun a negotiating process, and you've let him know that you're not going to just sit by and take it. Okay? There are people who learn to negotiate the world by being difficult, and sometimes it works for them. But if you find that you're walking on eggshells in any area of your life, and I've heard people say, if this relationship fails, I'm a personal failure. No, you're not. Relationships fail for a multiplicity of reasons, and you could be partners.
Yeah.
It can be your partner's fault. You may have a part in it, you may not. But not everything is going to go perfectly.
Yeah.
And some people learn in the families they grow up in, as Mr. Craig was saying, that it just isn't safe. But if you're walking on eggshells with anyone in your life, please give it some thought. Because it's never a healthy thing. And if you're walking on eggshells, you are not truly yourself. You're not free to be yourself.
Yeah.
And I've heard it said, peace at any price. Okay, but it's a very high price. Then anytime you're with this person, you're going to be anxious, you're going to be worried about what they're going to do next, and that's
you're going to be monitoring every move you make, everything that you say.
And many, many times and in many circumstances, people blame themselves for what the other person does. And many people who end up on the eggshells feel that they're the one who triggers the person, when in fact the person may have had a history of these outbursts for many, many years. So don't blame yourself. You're not responsible for anyone else's behavior. And if the behavior is unacceptable, you really have to say that.
Yep,
Okay?
absolutely.
Yeah, and if you're going to respect yourself.
Okay. Now, did you have some, I noticed you have a list here. Did you want to go over any of these?
There are some really classic kinds of manipulating that goes on with eggshells. One is, does the person who wants you to walk on eggshells manipulate you?
Well, that is manipulation.
Yes, it is. But does your partner manipulate you into believing you're wrong and tries to put the blame on you all the time? It's your fault I have these outbursts. If you hadn't said X, Y, and Z, I wouldn't have had this outburst. Brilliant, but no soap.
Yeah.
You are responsible for your behavior no matter what I said. Okay?
That's right.
And
that's so important too.
yes.
Because a lot of people fall into that trap, and they really believe, oh, it was my fault. I shouldn't have said anything. I shouldn't have said anything this time.
I shouldn't have said anything. No. Okay? And you have to have enough sense of self to say no. Now, not if you're going to put yourself in physical danger, certainly. But you're not going to let anybody bully you or manipulate you.
Because you can't have love in that kind of situation.
Right. But people say things and they don't realize what they're saying. Well, you know, he's a really good guy. I've been with him for years, but I bite my tongue a lot. No. What kind of a relationship is that if you can't say what you're thinking or what you want to say to communicate, because he'll have an outburst. Well, you have to do something about that besides sell out.
Yeah.
Do you have suspicions that you're... Sometimes those are our own insecurities, but other times you have reasons to be suspicious. Does this person disappear out of the house and not tell you where they're going? And if you see anything, there's a big scene, so you just keep your mouth shut to keep the peace.
Yep.
Okay?
So it gets them to do what they want to do, when they want to do it, because you're not going to say anything because you're scared.
And it's your fault I left the house. I wouldn't have left the house if you didn't do that. I've heard that one a lot of times. If you're simply not happy, you feel insecure all the time. There's never a normal day where you're not anxious about what this other person is going to do.
Yeah.
Probably not a good idea to describe their flaws to a violent or intimidating person. That's probably not a good idea. But, you know, people who make you walk on eggshells don't make joint decisions with you.
That's a good point.
They make the decision and let you know that, you know, their decision is the only decision, and you're not any good at, you know, buying cars anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like if you please this person enough on a given day, maybe you can keep them from having an outburst? It won't work. Don't be subservient to somebody hoping that if you're really, really good to them and they make their favorite kind of cookies, that it's going to protect you from an outburst that day. It probably isn't. Because it isn't about what you do. It's about what's going on inside of them.
Yeah. Really important to really think about if this is going on for you. Right. And if this is the kind of relationship you're in or were in, you don't want to get back into it.
No, you don't. You'll do anything for love. Perhaps some people also remember Meatloaf, the guy who sings the very long ballads. And he says, I will do anything for love, but I won't do that. He never tells you what that is. But it's probably walking on eggshells. He'll do anything.
That's what you think it is?
But that, yes. Yeah. But I won't do that, which is sell out somehow. If you feel terribly dependent on this person and they keep reminding you of that, you're not smart, you don't have a good job, you couldn't get by with anybody but me, nobody else would want you. All of those things are manipulations, and if you're scared, you're going to go into peace at any price.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you can feel like yourself with this person, which means they've never taken the time to get to know you or to know that they like you.
Yeah.
So overall, I would say if you identify any eggshells, refuse them in the safest and most reasonable way you can.
Yeah.
But sometimes we learn from the very phrases that we say. And I'll say to somebody, I'll just repeat back to somebody sometimes, you never feel like yourself. And then for the first time they'll think about it. You know, oh yeah, I did say that, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're in that kind of situation, how are you going to find joy? How are you going to find happiness?
You can't have any. Yeah, if you're going to be angry, hurt, and feeling demeaned all the time, nobody's going to have any fun.
Yeah. So you have to stand up for yourself.
Yes, you do.
You cannot let somebody mistreat you and purposely try and control you in these, you know, all the different ways that we covered. Right. Because if they do, they're not going to really love you. They're going to see you as like, oh, I can treat you however I want.
I can push her around. And I can get her to do anything.
And the respect will be gone.
Right.
And so, you know, it's a lot to think about, and it can be quite scary.
Yes, it can be very scary. And by no means am I minimizing the fears that some people have coming from childhood. It's terrible, and it's not their fault. But it can be very hard work for them to get to the point where they can stand up. And I remember being shocked when I truly realized this person thinks I'm asking them to risk their lives.
Because that's what it feels like.
To stand up to an angry and yelling man, it feels like I'm risking my life.
Yes, because it takes you back to that childhood
Right, and it all kicks in. It all kicks in.
Where your life was in danger, because you couldn't run away or escape an adult like that.
And after the yelling came the hitting. Yeah. So, no eggshells. And that's all I have to say.
Stand up for yourself.
Yes.
Okay. Is that all we wanted to cover for this video?
That's all I have.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot to take in. Yeah, sure. Okay, so if you want to get my help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching, Skype coaching, and if you got to get with me right away, emergency Skype coaching. And Margaret will be up there very soon. If she isn't by the time this video is up there, and you can do Skype coaching with her. That's the only thing we're offering for you right now.
For now.
And that's it for this video.
Look forward to hearing from you.
And we will talk with you soon.